An NFL insider has just dropped a bombshell Bengals trade report, and fans have had enough. As folks, this is getting out of hand. Yet another trade request has been made, and the whole NFL is now wondering what is going on in Cincinnati. As this time it is a young player recently drafted who was requested out of Cincinnati. We're going to break down exactly who this player is and discuss what this means going forward, as we have multiple huge updates and everyone's a little bit shook right now and in shock. So a ton to go over on this episode, as well as a few other things ahead of the game on Sunday. A big update. But before we get into it all, folks, if you're part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel and you're enjoying the daily Bengals content, I think this is the third video of the day now. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Your guys' support has been unbelievable. And this is the place to be all season long, all off season long, every single day for all your Bengals content. Folks, things have gotten really, really bad, quite frankly, really bad. And it's not to say that the season's over by any means. I have a lot of optimism heading into the game against the Bears on Sunday. But folks, recently, just an hour or so ago, less than an hour ago, a few minutes ago even, sources, Jackson is the third Bengals player to request to be moved, as Adam Schefter and, of course, Ben Baby here have officially confirmed that Cincinnati Bengals defensive tackle McKinley Jackson has requested a trade or release. A source told ESPN on Thursday he is now the third player in recent weeks to request to be moved. Folks, this is wild. And I've had videos, obviously Isaac and myself, on the multiple players that have requested a trade out of Cincinnati. And we know it dates back to the offseason. People were talking about, the Trey Hendrickson drama. And now then Logan Wilson requested a trade. And now, obviously, there was some stuff with Cam Taylor-Britt. Now, of course, with McKinley Jackson. Most of those guys some of them at least, were veterans. Logan Wilson. McKinley Jackson is recently drafted, was supposed to be a beast of a prospect, and now he wants out already, and people are absolutely livid. You can see here, understandable, but his value is extremely low. Great pick, Duke Tobin, and people are upset because it's yet another pick that didn't work out in the Bengals' favor, but more importantly, this is someone that it seems like the locker room is sliding a little bit, and Jackson's trade request continues a recent trend. Logan Wilson requested a trade, and of course, Mike Pennell, who reach a non-injury settlement that led to his release, and he ultimately rejoined the Kansas City Chiefs. It's been a crazy past 48 hours, and we know in the offseason the Bengals made several changes to the defensive staff after coordinator Lou was replaced by Al Golden, who had previously been the team's linebacker coach, and since that switch, Jackson has played sparingly. So obviously Al Golden hasn't been a huge fan of McKinley Jackson. You can see one of his comments from October 17th. So just a few weeks ago, he's got power, he's got knee bend, he's got strength. I would love at some point for that to translate for us and get him going. So he's on that journey right now, and he knows what he needs to do. And since then, he hadn't really played a lot of games, and that's what's led to his trade request. But I think he's a second-year player requesting a trade is absolutely insane. And whether you want to blame Duke Tobin, whether you want to blame whoever you want, it's a little bit wild. One game this year for him, following, of course, getting drafted back in 2024 and playing 13 games and starting one of them. His trajectory has been down, and a lot of that is because of the fact that, you could argue he should be starting games. You could argue, some people are saying he's one of the best defensive, tackles we have, which isn't saying much because of how bad that the, our defensive line is. But he was the third round pick in the 2024 draft class. And you can see here, Jermaine Burton was picked early in the round at 80th overall, and Jackson was selected 97th overall with the compensatory pick the Bengals received from losing Jesse Bates, the third in free agency the year prior, as we all know. But it's bad. People are upset at the trade requests. People are upset at, the internal optics here. You can see here, the locker room could absolutely be sliding, and it could be true, but Pennell was loved in the locker room in Kansas City. I think he just wanted to go back to Kansas City. I don't think the one with Pennell is as cookie cutter, him requesting out. I think he's wanting to go back to Kansas City, but still not ideal. And you can see here, Jackson has been inactive all year, and many Bengals fans think it was a wasted pick. I'm sure he thinks he should get snaps and get that next contract, fast, right? Here's my logic. The players loved Al when he was a linebacker coach. I doubt he's changed his approach much. And Al Golden was pretty universally loved, at least by the players. So it's interesting now that people are upset. It's all defensive players for the most part here that are requesting trades, Logan Wilson, and now, of course, McKinley. It makes things interesting. And if things are as bad as they seem, things will continue to fracture, like Bengals captain says. But he was a third-round pick that flashed the end of 2024, only played 6 snaps in 2025, and he's well aware, I'm sure, of how bad our defense is. So for him to not get snaps, he probably thinks he can contribute. And at the end of the day, all these guys want a second contract. That's what it comes down to. And he doesn't think he's going to be able to get that from Al Golden. And they claimed another defensive tackle from the 2024 draft class, and he's been active over Jackson. He should want to be released or traded, and the fact that he has to ask for it means there are some people that still value him as a prospect, and it isn't a shared opinion by the coaching staff. So it's going to be interesting. Al Golden clearly doesn't like him, playing him at least. Of course, we don't know on a personal level. And it makes things super interesting here. But it is 3 requests for a release or trade, and 2 of them directly after that defensive players only meeting. And let's rewind back to Sunday and Monday when Ja'Marr Chase called out the defense, called out his own team a little bit, saying, hey, I don't control the defensive side of the ball. We should have won that game when we were up 2 touchdowns. And things have kind of calmed down a bit since then, at least in public eyes, but not really internally. Multiple trade requests, and maybe this is the beginning of a very sad next few weeks. Maybe this is the beginning of a downfall for this team where they trade Trey Hendrickson and things really blow up. Or this could be the beginning of hopefully a big win on Sunday, and then you go up from there. This team is not out of it. Obviously, as the time of recording, the Ravens are taking care of business against the Dolphins. I'll double check the score now as well, because obviously things can change in a dime. But yeah, they're doing well against the Dolphins. That team looks really good, and Lamar Jackson looks really good. So at the end of the day, you're going to have to play your best football. And if you don't do that, then things are going to be very rough very quickly. So it's going to be a little bit wild, but fans have had enough of Duke Tobin. And I'm curious to see what you guys think about it. I don't know if it's as clear as, I'm not a fan of Duke Tobin necessarily. He's made a lot of bad picks, but it's crazy to see how fast fans have turned on him. And you can see here, there's more insight on the request to be traded. Non-factor, in case you were wondering, like I mentioned. Basically, terrible defense. They weren't playing him. It dates back to the switch from former defensive coordinator and to now the new one in Al Golden from Lou. So something to keep in mind. I'll read that last sentence. The timing of Jackson's request is notable as well. The deadline is Tuesday, and Cincinnati is coming off a bad loss. The Bengals defense also conducted a players-only meeting. That loss seemed to have sent this team into a spiral, and it is a horrible, horrible loss. It's one you have to win. But you're also coming off of a huge win against the Steelers where, you get Joe Flacco's second game. You're not sure what to expect. He should be playing on Sunday. I'm not ready to say that the season is over yet. I'm not ready to say that the sky is falling down yet. Things aren't looking great, and fans have had enough of Duke Tobin, which I don't blame you for, but it's going to be interesting this weekend, especially with 2 more defensive players in Trey Hendrickson and Logan Wilson, both being at Bengals practice today, but neither being in uniform. A lot of questionables, a lot of questions now surrounding this defense, but regarding, of course, McKinley, requested to be traded, though he wasn't playing games anyway, so it doesn't make an immediate impact on the team, but 24-year-old requesting a trade out of Al Golden's defensive system here is quite interesting, and it just adds more and more fire to what has been a very smoky, a lot of smoke going around regarding trades, and usually where there's smoke there's fire, and clearly it's happening here. I'm going to be interested to see what happens with Trey Hendrickson if things go awry. But in the meantime, this team is still in a position to potentially make a playoff push and get Joe Burrow back. We're going to stay optimistic until there's no reason to, until you're officially eliminated from the playoffs. But either way, folks, your guys' sports been unbelievable. Let me know down below what your thoughts are on these moves. Do you think they should trade him? If so, what's the it for him? Thank you guys for watching. Cheers. You guys are beasts.